jumped out the car and I heard him holler like 3 or 4 times, put it away, put it away, put it down, and boom, boom, boom.
Pay close attention to this chilling video. The man you see there, lurking around the parking lot, trying to sneak into his own home, is 37-year-old Gregory Hightower, a senior chief Navy recruiter. But this isn't just any ordinary moment. Gregory is on a mission that will forever change the lives of those around him. With a deadly determination, he is about to commit an unthinkable act, to murder the mother of his 6 children. In the mid-hours of September 22, 2022, around 1:30 p.m., 35-year-old Takara Hightower, a devoted mother who has endured years of abuse, makes the courageous decision to seek protection, finally choosing to file a restraining order against her abusive husband. Little did she know, this act of bravery would come at the ultimate price, one that would tragically cost her life. As the Harris County Sheriff's Office responded to the call at their home on 3200 Tulloch Run Drive in Humble, just 30 minutes northeast of Houston, in a terrifying turn of events, he broke into the house and shot Takara dead while she was holding their infant child in her arms. What was meant to be a step towards safety for Takara would instead lead to a violent end she could never have predicted. The question remains, what drove Gregory Hightower to commit such an unimaginable act? But before she met her death, let me take you back to where their path crossed, and we will uncover 5 red flags that could have protected Takara Hightower. 34-year-old Takara Glenn Hightower was the heart of her family. A devoted mother to 6 young children, ranging from just 12 months to 6 years old, she poured her heart and soul into her role as their primary caregiver. Takara's love for her children was boundless. Every decision she made, every action she took was centered around giving them the best life possible. She lived for them, always prioritizing their well-being above all else. Sadly, it would be one of those decisions she made that would tragically end her life.
Family and friends often describe Takara as a fearless, protective mama bear. She would go to any lengths to ensure that her children were safe, happy, and loved. Whether it was comforting them after a nightmare or attending every school event, Takara's devotion to her children was undeniable. Her love for them was so powerful that it became the foundation of her identity. Those who knew her best remembered her as kind-hearted, sweet, and compassionate. She was always ready to offer a helping hand or a listening ear. Takara had a magnetic presence. She could brighten up any room with her laughter, her warmth, and her generous spirit. She had a remarkable ability to make people feel seen and valued, offering love and kindness to everyone she encountered. Whether she was being a dedicated mother or a loyal friend, Takara gave herself fully to the people she loved. But heartbreakingly, it was one of those people who would gun her down. Her friends described her as selfless, always willing to put others first. Takara's relationships, especially with her children, were built on an extraordinary bond of trust and love. But the relationship with her husband could be up for debate. As a wife, Takara was affectionate, hardworking, and passionate about her family. She was the kind of partner anyone would be lucky to have, loving and full of devotion. Her commitment to her family was clear in everything she did. Yet, beneath this picture of devotion and love, Takara's life was marred by a harsh reality that few knew about. Despite the warmth she radiated, Takara was enduring a life of constant fear. She was in an abusive marriage with 37-year-old Gregory Hightower, a senior chief Navy recruiter. On the outside, they appeared to have the perfect family, loving children, a supportive wife, a hardworking husband. But behind closed doors, Takara had been living in an abusive nightmare. Gregory had subjected her to years of physical and emotional abuse, turning their home into a place of terror instead of safety. The stark contrast between the loving mother and wife she appeared to be and the abuse she silently endured is a tragedy many will never fully comprehend. Takara's outwardly perfect family life was a carefully crafted facade that concealed the daily torment she suffered in the hands of her husband. Though she had created a nurturing, joyful environment for her children, she was also trapped in a cycle of fear and control. unable to escape the man who was supposed to be her partner. The harsh truth about Takara's marriage was hidden from most, but those closest to her could sense that something wasn't right.
Despite the pain she endured in her relationship with Gregory, Takara continued to give her all to her children, providing them with as much love and stability as she could. Yet, that would not be enough, as she would end up paying with her life. While her children, the center of her world, were her constant motivation to keep moving forward, Takara's fierce love for them gave her the strength to face each day, even when her own world was crumbling. Tragically, the pain of her circumstances would eventually lead to an unimaginable ending. On September 22, 2022, Takara Glenn Hightower made a brave, life-altering decision that would tragically cost her everything. After enduring years of abuse, she chose to take a stand. She decided to report her husband, Gregory Hightower, to the Naval Criminal Investigative Service for domestic violence. Her hope was that by speaking out, she could secure justice and perhaps even a restraining order to protect herself and her children. But the courage it took to take that first step toward freedom would be met with unimaginable violence. At around 1:30 p.m., Takara was at their home in Atascocita, Texas, just northeast of Houston, cradling their infant child in her arms when Gregory Hightower broke into the house. Without warning, he shot Takara multiple times, ending her life in an instant.
So they failed to remove the guns, they failed to provide protection to her, and even while she had officers with her, he was allowed to access the home with his guns and came in and shot her.
Takara, who had been holding their baby, was helpless in the face of the brutality that unfolded before her. But the shooting wouldn't end there. In a cruel twist of fate, the NCIS agents who had just stepped outside the home for a brief moment were powerless to prevent the horror that was about to unfold inside. The scene was chaotic and horrifying. Gregory fled the scene after murdering his wife, but the violence didn't stop there.
All right, we're getting new details about a deadly in Northeast Harris County. That is where a man killed his wife and injured an investigator. Tonight we are seeing and hearing how chaotic that scene was from a neighbor security camera video. KPRC2's Bill Barajas is live in that neighborhood tonight with those new details. Bill.
Well, we're learning more about that suspect and his wife. Harris County Sheriff investigators telling us the couple had recently struggled with domestic violence issues. Friends and neighbors saying that the suspect was a Navy recruiter and shared 6 children with his wife at this home here just behind me on Tulich. It's unclear what caused Thursday's, but we were able to obtain video showing the moments the started.
In a chilling escalation, he turned the weapon on the NCIS agents, opening fire on them as they pursued him. One of the agents was struck and injured during the exchange, further intensifying the situation. What had begun as a desperate attempt to protect herself had now spiraled into a deadly standoff. Gregory Hightower's actions would not go unpunished. Following the shooting of his wife and the attempted murder of NCIS agents, Gregory Hightower fled the scene in his vehicle. He drove quickly to his mother's apartment on the northwest side of Houston, hoping to seek refuge. But the police were already on his trail, and what followed was a dramatic gunfight.
Gregory attempted to engage in a shootout with the deputies who were closing in on him, firing shots at the officers as they confronted him. In a tragic yet swift turn of events, Gregory was killed in the gunfight with Harris County deputies. His death came shortly after he had left his wife dead in their home, having tried to kill those who were investigating his abuse.
A shocking story.
A woman is dead after investigators say her husband shot her and an NCIS agent. The husband later shot deputies after allegedly opening fire on them at a different scene.
So here's a map showing you where all this happened. The first on Tulloch Run in the Balmera community in Humboldt. The suspect was killed on the northwest side.
Takara's family was left devastated by her sudden and brutal death. She had tried to escape the cycle of abuse by seeking help, only to be met with violence that took her life and left her children without a mother. The details of her final moments were heartbreaking. While Takara held her infant in her arms, she was shot dead by the very person who was supposed to protect her. Worst off, Takara seemed to have had a premonition. The night before the tragic event, she had confided in a neighbor, expressing her deep fear for her safety. She was visibly distressed and told the neighbor that she felt her life was in danger.
It's a crazy day, you know. We talked about it last night, and she told me that she was in fear for her life last night, and I actually helped her lock up the house and get everything together, and then this happened.
But this wasn't the first time she had confided in someone about the fear she lived with in her marriage. But this time, it seemed different. In the months leading up to her tragic death, Takara had made multiple attempts to seek help and protect herself from the abuse she was enduring. Back in July, Takara had called deputies to their apartment, accusing her husband, Gregory Hightower, of hitting her. In her report, she detailed an incident in which Greg allegedly punched her. However, the situation would be complicated. Gregory claimed that Takara had struck him first, leading to a situation where neither party was charged with any offense. But the couple would be separated by a Navy order for a week, with Gregory forced to live elsewhere. Family members say the investigation was ongoing up to the moment Gregory barged into their house and opened fire. Despite this, the incident highlighted the escalating tension and violence in their relationship. Takara's attempt to take action, though thwarted by the conflicting claims, was a desperate cry for help. Takara didn't stop there. On September 20th, just 2 days before her death, she reached out to the police again. This time, she asked about the process of filing for a restraining order. Her request showed that she was actively seeking a way out of the volatile and dangerous situation she found herself in, desperate to protect herself and her children from the man who had once promised to love and care for her. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to file for that protection in time.
Friends later revealed that Takara had caught Gregory cheating on her, a betrayal that deepened her already overwhelming sense of pain and betrayal. The discovery of his infidelity was a tipping point for Takara, one that fueled her determination to escape his controlling and violent behavior. Takara's efforts to break free from the cycle of abuse were overshadowed by Gregory's selfish and violent actions. Her attempts to seek legal protection were ultimately futile, and the resources and support she needed came too late. Just days after reaching out to the authorities, Takara's life was taken in a brutal act of violence, cutting short her hopes for safety and justice. Her final attempts to reclaim control of her life were tragically never realized, and it was her children, the ones she fought so hard to protect, who would be left to face the devastation of her loss. Her efforts to protect her children and herself, while brave, would not be enough to prevent the horrific violence that would unfold the next day. Her children, 2 of whom were present during the shooting, were left traumatized by the events. Takara's 1-year-old child, who had been in her arms when the murder occurred, is now left to grow up without the loving presence of their mother. The emotional toll on Takara's family and her friends is immeasurable. In the wake of Takara's devastating death, her best friend, Christina Luano Gazelle, set up a GoFundMe page to help provide for Takara's children and support the family through their overwhelming grief. Christina, who had been a close confidant of Takara's for many years, described her friend as a fearless lioness and a protective mama bear. She spoke of Takara's unwavering love for her children and her relentless fight to protect them from harm, no matter the cost. Takara's memory, Christina said, will live on in her children's eyes. These words echoed the deep love and commitment Takara had shown as a mother, and her legacy would continue through the very children she cherished and fought for every day.
Takara's mother, Janitha Glenn, and sisters, heartbroken yet determined, have stepped in to care for her 6 children, offering the love and support they need during this unimaginable time. Janitha, who was living in Illinois when her daughter was killed, dropped everything, moved to Texas, and is now raising Takara's children. 5 are living at home, while the oldest is in college. The loss of their mother is a devastating blow for these young children, who will grow up without Takara's nurturing presence and guidance. Her absence leaves a void in their lives that can never be filled. Yet, despite the pain, Takara's family is committed to honoring her memory and ensuring that her children are surrounded by love, support, and the strength Takara herself embodied. As Takara's loved ones continue to grieve, they are also raising awareness about domestic violence.
Takara Hightower was literally in her own home speaking with a naval investigator when her husband barged in, shot her. Tonight, the grandmother raising the kids and Takara's sister are both speaking out for the first time.
It won't bring her back. Like, it won't bring her back, but I want to bring awareness to anybody that's dealing with something like this.
Takara's tragic death is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by those trapped in abusive relationships. Her brave decision to seek help, filing for a restraining order, and reaching out to the authorities was a final attempt to protect herself and her children. But in the end, the power and control of her abuser were too much to overcome, leading to a tragic and untimely death. Takara Glenn Hightower's story is a painful and heartbreaking example of the deadly consequences of domestic violence. She was a loving mother who wanted nothing more than to protect her children and escape the cycle of abuse. Instead, she was met with a violent end at the hands of the very man who was supposed to protect her. Now, her 6 children are left to navigate life without the love and guidance of their mother or father. Takara's death is a tragic reminder that even when victims reach out for help, the danger they face can still lead to unimaginable consequences. Her memory will live on through the efforts of those who loved her and through the fight to ensure that no one else has to face the same fate. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found the story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.